the different types of roles in cybersecurity by Google. Let's check it out.
Now, we need to get you prepared to find a job as an entry-level security analyst.
I love it. Get me prepared for that. The whole point of going through a training series like Google or learning about cybersecurity is really to get a job. So it doesn't really match up with their title, but let's see what they got for us.
Security is a huge field with countless job opportunities. By 2030, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics expects the number of security roles to grow by more than 30%.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Bureau of Labor Statistics .gov, I think is what it is. Let's see. And then if we go to information, let's just do cybersecurity. Information security analysts. It's going to grow by 32%. Job outlook increasing by 32%, much faster than the average. That's what it's about. It's called job security right there. 2 words, job security.
But how can you find the right opportunity for you? I remember initially being interested in my role because education is my passion. Researching the security.
This is one of the things I absolutely love is I also came from education, high school English teacher, transitioned into cybersecurity. We have spaces for everyone. No matter what your background is, doesn't matter. We can use you if you are skilled, dedicated, hardworking. We can use you in cybersecurity. There is a place for all of us.
An industry in preparation for my interviews cemented my fascination for cybersecurity. I'll be honest, I had taken a lot of what security does for granted. Now, I feel incredibly fortunate to be a part of this industry and the exciting opportunities it offers. Now, it's time to get you ready to find security jobs. Let's get started. You may remember that earlier in this program, we discussed a few security roles in the industry. Now, we'll explore 3 of those roles. We'll start with security analyst. Security analyst is typically an entry-level role that might interest you as you prepare to enter the security field. The role generally focuses on monitoring networks for security breaches, developing strategies to help secure an organization, and even researching IT security trends.
Let's back it up. Okay, so we got 3 bullet points. Security analyst. They say entry level. I would agree, security analyst is entry level, different than a SOC analyst, which hopefully they get to. Monitoring networks, absolutely agree. One of your jobs as a security analyst will be network monitoring. Are bad people trying to break in to your networks? Totally. Developing strategies, I don't really know about that. This is certainly not for entry level. That's going to be a more mid-senior type role. When we're talking about strategies, we're looking at what gaps in security do we have, what measures can we put in place to mitigate those gaps. Strategically thinking requires having a depth and breadth of knowledge that at entry level you won't really have. And then the researching IT security trends, everyone does that. If you're in security, you need to do this. At entry level, this is not a paid portion of your job. It's just part of your lifestyle. You need to have your pulse on the industry, have your pulse on security trends, on new vulnerabilities, new breaches that are coming out. That's what we all do. That's not like a security analyst specific thing, whereas take a SOC analyst, they should also be doing that. So in general, I would say a security analyst does a lot more than this. They're going to do things like DNS filtering for when users are going to websites that they shouldn't be going to, whether that's time-wasting websites like Facebook and Reddit. Do you want your enterprise to be able to go to those websites? Also, not going to malicious websites. This fake Microsoft portal.ru, right? This Russian fake Microsoft portal. They might also do vulnerability scanning, patch management, finding out what weaknesses are in your environment, and then doing away with those weaknesses, right? Patching those out. You'll be doing Endpoint protection, monitoring endpoints, making sure there's no malicious processes, malicious software on there. There's so much more that a security analyst can do. It can be so broad. Identity access management or identity protection, making sure the correct users have access to the correct resources at the right time, ensuring that unapproved users are not getting access to what they shouldn't be doing. There's whole branches here, but typically at the entry level, you can do so many of these niches you'll get your hands on. It's one of the best starting roles if you can get one.
In previous courses, we discussed log monitoring and SIM tools. Having a solid
Log monitoring and SIM tools. Here's another one. As a security analyst, really I would say a lot of security folks will use SIM tools, and SIM is Security Information and Event Management, where it ingests logs and has alert logic that will, when triggered, create alarms or alerts for you to work off of and investigate. Absolutely will be another part, and it goes hand in hand with like endpoint protection. Oftentimes your SIM will be the tool that generates those alerts for you to go and deep dive into.
foundational understanding of how to use those tools will certainly be useful in this role. Another role that might interest you is Information Security Analyst. This role generally focuses on creating plans and implementing security measures to protect organizations, networks, and systems. Earlier in the program,
Back it up. We're down to 2 bullet points. 2 bullet points for an entire job. Creating plans is pretty vague. Information security analysts can differ from just a regular security analyst in that they deal with data. Data at rest, data in transit. They could be doing things like generating certificates, implementing TLS, SSL, creating data loss prevention policies, working with particular frameworks, maybe PCI DSS, Payment Card Industry Data Standard, or HIPAA, which is for health information. There's a lot of standards that you might have to follow to protect your information, to protect your data. And implementing security measures, sure, that's not necessarily specific to an information security analyst. I would say most of us, many of us in various niches will be implementing security measures. That's not just only the InfoSec person is going to be doing that. That's going to be spread across multiple roles. So when you see information security analyst, it's only slightly different than a security analyst in that your job is to make sure that data, information is kept between you and your company and only the specific users that should have access to it have maintained that access, right? So when you see, like, not that long ago, AT&T just had a breach of 70 million records, it was the information security analyst's job to keep that information safe.
earlier in the program, you learned about controls and frameworks that can be used to develop security plans and procedures, as well as how to use SIMs and packet sniffers.
So I guess in creating plans, maybe what she was getting at was there can be a lot of documentation in security. It's one of the control types, creating documentations like acceptable use policy or bring your own device policy. We have a list of like 20 different policies and then a corresponding 20 documents on procedures for how do we apply those policies. So that could be an aspect of their job. If you want to roll in like the auditing portion of security, but typically you might see that role as an IT auditor or a GRC analyst, governance, risk, compliance analyst. It seems like she's putting that under the umbrella of InfoSec analyst.
To identify risks. That knowledge will be beneficial when it comes to developing plans and determining the best tools to strengthen an organization's security posture.
Choosing tools is not an entry-level role, entry-level duty. You want a depth and breadth of experience before you're just recommending tools. Now, any of us, even if you're brand new, you can absolutely go do research on tools. You can absolutely go find information and make recommendations. But at the end of the day, it's not really your deal. Like you want the architect, the most senior person, choosing which tools to implement and which ones actually fit better within your environment. There we go. All right, moving on here.
Finally, we'll explore the Security Operations Center Analyst role. Security Operations Center Analyst, also known as a SOC Analyst, is another role you might find exciting. This role generally focuses on ensuring security incidents are handled rapidly and efficiently by following established policies and procedures.
Again with these 2 bullet points for entire job roles. So the SOC analyst is where it's at. To me, this is the most entry-level, starting point, quintessential, necessary, mandatory skill set for security folks. The SOC is where it happens. So their first bullet point, ensuring security incidents are handled rapidly and efficiently. So a security incident, we don't use that word. We don't use that word in security. Incident is like the big no-no. It has legal ramifications. It means something bad really happened and you're like admitting fault. We don't use incident. We use security event. It's just a language thing. You don't want to get in trouble. Language is important in terms of legality, so we call it security events. So their job, the security analyst, is to, at level 1, to triage all of the alerts and figure out, okay, what's a false positive, what alerted, but isn't actually worth investigating. It's just normal, expected behavior. Versus a true positive, something alerted, and it's actually bad, it's actually going on, but they're going to up that to the level 2 or level 3 analyst. They're going to escalate those alerts at level 1. That's what they're talking about here. Google is talking about entry level. And so because they're at the bottom of the pyramid, right? They're getting all of the alerts, all of them. So they need to be rapid. You're not sitting there for 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 2 hours digging into figuring something out. It's like 10, 15 minutes. True positive, false positive, move it up or close it out. You have to be quick, you have to be efficient. And honestly, this creates a lot of burnout. You probably don't want to be a level 1 SOC analyst for a long period of time. It's like, from what I've seen, it's just soul crushing. I did it for a while. Thankfully, I moved up to level 2 pretty quickly within, 6 months or so. And it's game changing because when you get the true when all you deal with generally are true positives, one, it's way more fun. It can be really stressful because you're dealing with, at that point, bad things are actually occurring, so it's stressful in that regard. But it's way more fun, it's way more interesting. You don't get this alert fatigue of dealing with, these boring false positives. Okay, Sally deleted this folder again, it's fine, whatever the case is. Second piece, following established policies and procedures. Again, all entry-level security folks hopefully have this. Any mature company, or rather any company with a mature security program, because you can have a mature company without a mature security program, should have established policies and procedures, meaning like documentation, standard operating procedures, SOPs or KBs, knowledge bases, whatever, right? Call them what you want. But there should be a set of guidelines that you can follow on what to do. And that's really, really true at the SOC level because it's fairly black and white at that regard. If you find this, do this. If this happens, do that, right? It's just this like decision tree type scenario where, at this amount of time, go and escalate it. You have to follow that if you're going to be rapid, if you're going to be efficient, if you're going to be good at your job.
Policies and procedures. Earlier in this program, we discussed security playbooks and how they are unique to each organization. We also covered the importance of being able to follow the processes outlined in playbooks.
So here's another thing. Playbooks are kind of a step up from standard operating procedures. Playbooks tend to be at like the level 2 or 3 level. That's not always true, but playbooks will be the actions taken on events. Things like disabling a user's account or isolating a host. Whatever action you might need to take is typically not done at the level 1 SOC level, because they make recommendations. The SOC analyst one says, hey, I'm seeing this activity, I think we should do this. The level 2 or 3 might sign off and say, okay, yeah, that looks good, go ahead and do it, or they might do it themselves. But that's how playbooks kind of differ from standard operating procedures. It's less of a decision tree and more of, here are the technical actions we need to take in certain instances.
To respond to security events or incidents. That knowledge will certainly help you stand out as a potential candidate for this role. There are many more job roles that you may be interested in. A great way to find more of these roles is to create an account.
Absolutely. Those are by far not the only 3 job titles that you can find at entry level. And this is one of the really frustrating and maddening parts about security, is that one company might call entry level a security engineer, where at another company it'll be a security analyst. There is no industry standard for a naming convention. So if it doesn't say senior in the role, then it's kind of safe to assume it's going to be more entry level. And unfortunately, job filtering sites are not great at this, because you'll find entry level position requires 5 to 7 years of experience, right? Like it's absolutely asinine. It's crazy. My recommendation with applying to jobs is, don't worry so much about the title, right? Probably don't apply for, if it says senior in it, probably don't apply for those if you're brand new and have no experience. But otherwise, like, forget what it says in like requirements, right? It's going to have a list of maybe like 10 requirements, have these certifications, have this years of experience, know these tools and technologies, programming languages, whatever. If you feel like you can do that job, apply anyway. They're looking for unicorns that do not exist, that at the entry level, if you matched up all of those, if you could do all of those job duties, you're not entry level. You're at minimum intermediate, if not advanced. It takes a long time to get all of those skills mastered. So they're looking for, they have unrealistic expectations. You just need to apply. Just apply. I made this mistake so often in that I would look at a job post, I'm like, I only meet like 1 of 10 of these qualifications, and I didn't apply. And that really reduced the pool of jobs that I could apply for. And it was super frustrating. I really wish if I just could go back in time, I would just apply. The worst that can happen is they don't give you a call back. Like, okay, that's fine. I'll survive.
Various job sites and search for cybersecurity positions. A few well-known job sites in the United States and internationally are ZipRecruiter, Indeed, and Monster Jobs.
Again, with these 3 bullet points, I personally have never used ZipRecruiter or Monster Jobs. I have used Indeed. LinkedIn was the best one for me. It just, when you search for your area, if you're not looking for remote, right, and you're like geographically looking for a job, test them all out and see which one has the most in your area, because it really does depend. Sometimes, like, Indeed may have a ton for your area, and ZipRecruiter may have none, or it could be reversed. Another one not on this list you have to check out is Glassdoor. Even if they don't have the job postings that you're looking for, potentially in your area or remote, although they tend to, Glassdoor has a lot of technical jobs on there. They have great information about companies. So before you get into that interview, after the HR screening and you get actually into a technical interview, Glassdoor can have interview questions on there that if you know the questions you're going to be asked beforehand, you better knock it out of the park. Anytime I found questions beforehand, you know all the answers, you got it memorized, you got it practiced, you'll sound more professional, and you'll just crush it. It's great.
Each of these sites have hundreds of open job listings with roles, responsibilities, and skill set requirements posted under the job title. How exciting is it that we're now discussing jobs and sites that you can use to apply for them? It's important that you do your research before applying to any position.
I would disagree. I would 100% disagree on this, where I would apply in mass. I'm talking like 5 applications every day if you can, right? If you have the time, 10 applications a day, it's a numbers game. The goal is not to research the company. You're not spending 30 minutes figuring out, is this a company I want to work at? I would wait until they contact you and you have that screening with HR. Then you go research the company and say, okay, I like this company, or okay, I don't. Because you'll save so much time by not upfront researching every single company. Because if you're applying to 5 or 10 a day, that's what, an extra 10, 20 minutes per company. That just means you'll be applying to fewer and fewer jobs. Whereas the callback rate is already low. It's probably 5%. So somewhere around 5% is what you can expect in terms of, I'm going to apply to all these jobs. I'm going to expect a recruiter from HR, whoever, to give me a call back 5% of the time. Maybe 10% if I'm a phenomenal candidate. It's a numbers game. It could take up to like 150, 200 applications to really get a good job. It is a competitive job market. They're looking for unicorns. It depends on a variety of factors. So at the end of the day, just remember, it's a numbers game.
There are plenty of information about the company, the job role, as well as required and preferred skills. This will help prepare you for a potential interview by knowing exactly what the employer is looking for and how your skills align with the employer's expectations.
Glassdoor is great for this. After you've done the HR screening, because it's not like a real interview in technical terms, it's like a culture fit, salary expectations type questions. Once you get to the actual technical interview, that's where the research into the company really plays in big. So after that HR screening, then, and you want that job, right? If you're really interested in it, that's when you want to deep dive, spend 20, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, figure out what are the values of this company? What growth is there in this company? What is their culture, right? Figure out how big is the department? What struggles are they facing? Everything you can to give you that competitive edge.
This will also help you align your own values and passions with the organization's mission and vision.
Good stuff by Google. I super enjoyed I didn't take their Google cybersecurity certificate. I have their IT support professional one. And unfortunately, it didn't really help me get a job, but it taught me way more than CompTIA A+ ever did. Their content is just phenomenal. You can find it on Coursera. I want to say it's $49 a month. You could absolutely knock it out of the park within a month. There should be no problem to do it in that amount of time. I really enjoyed it. I learned a ton. Didn't necessarily help me land that job, but not everything is going to do that, right? You have certain activities to teach you knowledge, certain ones to teach you skills, and then other activities to help you get the job. And you got to spread the love around and do all of it. So hope this was helpful, and I'll catch you in the next one.